Why are the cheapest bikes at Walmart bad? So this is a full suspension mountain bike that they're selling for $134. And if you're not really into bikes, it's hard to know the difference between this and a good bike. So let's just go over each individual piece. So first we'll start with the stem. That's a quill stem, kind of like you'd have on a beach cruiser. That's fine for on the street, but it's not going to withstand mountain bike level stress. It's going to twist and turn independently of the front wheel and get you in trouble. You can see there's a weak little bolt there holding it onto the handlebars, or holding the handlebars on. The fork is a suspension fork with no adjustments. It's super thin and probably no damping. It's probably just a spring in there. So you're not going to get the same kind of off-road capable fork as you would on a more expensive bike. There is caliper brakes on it there rather than a disc brake. You can see it does work, but you're not going to get the stopping power that you would get out of a disc brake. And around back, we'll take a look at the rear shock. I should have mentioned this is a super heavy bike as well, but that is not even a shock absorber. That's just a spring on a stick. There's no damping in there, and it has a little collar on it that you can do adjustments on. You can either turn it tighter or looser to put less or more tension on the back spring, and it works okay on the street, but for actual mountain biking, it's not going to give you the kind of control that you really need. And you can also see how skinny the whole apparatus is. That whole rear swing arm is pretty thin and not super sturdy, so I wouldn't recommend jumps or anything else. In fact, there's a sticker telling you not to do that. You get kind of a generic heavy 3x on the front, and then the cheapest possible Shimano shifter on the back. So I'm sure it shifts okay, but you're not going to get the durability or the performance that you would get out of a more expensive bike. It's got nuts on the back keeping it on. I think that's a positive on the street, so people are less likely to be able to steal your back wheel if you were to park it in strange places. You get a tire brand you've never heard of with kind of a street tread on the front and knobs on the back. You get a hyper seat, kind of a generic heavy bolt-on seat, and then you adjust it with that tension adjuster up and down. And then in the bottom bracket, down where the cranks attach that you turn to drive the whole bike, there's a bunch of loose ball bearings in there that you'll have to adjust from time to time. The better bike's going to have sealed ball bearings in there, or a sealed bottom bracket in there. That means you never have to adjust it, and it lasts a lot longer and pedals a lot smoother. But on the street, I see a lot of guys riding these cheap Walmart bikes to work every day on the street. So on the street, you're cruising around, you don't have to worry about people stealing it. It does function as a bicycle in the real world. It's just a matter of, if you want a better mountain bike at Walmart, they do have some hardtail mountain bikes. They don't have any full suspension ones, but if you want to spend a little more money, you get some better performance for still an affordable price. You can see how much thicker that shock is. It does come with a little bit of adjustability, and there is damping in it. So that's going to get you down the trail if you're riding off-road a lot better than a cheaper bike would. This one even has a lockout and adjustment. And you can see how much sturdier that stem is, how it's bolted on, and it's got more bolts holding it in place. So you're not going to have your handlebars turned separately of the front wheel when you're going too heavy on the trail. Chaoyang tires are good. They're much better than the ones we saw on the other bike. It's still a cheap tire, but it's a much better tire than you would get on that cheaper bike we looked at. Down here, the bottom bracket is going to be sealed. And then there's also a place where you can put a cable to run a dropper post. And if we look at the rear gears, you see you get a 1x in front and a wider gear stack in the back, and a better quality shifting mechanism, as well as disc brakes. And there's the port where you could put in a dropper seat post if you wanted to. So the cheaper high-end mountain bike at Walmart, there's a look at the disc brakes, is going to have a lot of the things you'd want on a more expensive bike, and also places you can bolt on upgrades like a dropper post if you wanted to take it to the next level. And that's a $300 bike. So this is almost 3 times as much as the bike we looked at in the beginning. But you can see it's a lot sturdier, a lot safer. And if you're actually going to go ride in the mountains off-road, then it makes sense to spend more money on this bike.